The research ship Aurora Dawn moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Its metal walls hummed with the sound of engines and life support systems. Deep inside the ship, Dr. Jake Morrison stood in his lab looking at strange plants from distant worlds. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. His job was to study alien life forms and understand how they worked. Today was special. The ship was getting a new crew member, but not a human one. An alien student was coming to learn about humans and how they lived. Jake had never taught an alien before, and he felt both excited and nervous about it. The door to his lab opened with a soft hiss. Captain Linda Hayes walked in, followed by something that looked like a walking crystal. The alien was about as tall as a human child, with a body made of clear blue stone that caught the light in beautiful ways. It moved with careful, measured steps. "Jake, meet Kixtal," Captain Hayes said. "He's our exchange student from the Zephyrian homeworld. He'll be staying with us for 3 months to study human behavior." The crystal being spoke in a voice that sounded like wind chimes. "I am honored to learn from the humans of this vessel. My people are very curious about your species." Jake smiled and extended his hand. "Welcome aboard, Kixtal. I'm Dr. Morrison, but you can call me Jake." The alien looked at the offered hand with what might have been confusion. After a moment, he reached out with his own crystalline appendage and touched Jake's fingers. The contact was cold, but not unpleasant. "I will show you around the ship," Jake said. "You can meet the crew and see how we work." They started their tour in the main corridor. The ship was busy with activity. Crew members walked back and forth, carrying equipment and talking to each other. Jake noticed that Kixtal watched everything with great interest, his crystal body turning different shades of blue as he observed. They stopped at the communications center, where Amy Rodriguez was working at a large panel covered with blinking lights. She was a young woman with dark hair tied back in a neat ponytail. When she saw them, she turned and smiled. "Amy, this is Kixtal, our exchange student," Jake said. "Nice to meet you," Amy said cheerfully. "Welcome to our ship." Kixtal made a sound like tinkling bells, which Jake assumed was polite greeting in his language. Amy went back to her work, and Jake could hear her talking to someone on the communication system. "I can't wait to get home and see my dog," Amy was saying. "Max has been staying with my sister, but I know he misses me. That dog is such a good hunter. He caught 3 rabbits last week." Jake noticed Kixtal's color changed from blue to a darker shade. The alien seemed to be listening very carefully to Amy's words. They continued the tour and met Sergeant Lisa Carter in the security section. Lisa was a strong woman with short blonde hair and a no-nonsense attitude. She was cleaning a weapon when they arrived. "Lisa, meet our alien guest," Jake said. Lisa looked up and nodded. "Good to meet you, Kixtal. Hope you learn a lot here." As they talked, another crew member walked by. "Hey Lisa, how's your cat doing?" the crew member asked. "Oh, Whiskers is doing great," Lisa replied. "That little killer took down a mouse yesterday. She's got such good hunting instincts. Sometimes I think she could take on something much bigger than a mouse if she had to." Kixtal's color changed again, this time to a deep purple. Jake thought the alien looked worried, but he wasn't sure how to read Zephyrian expressions. Their next stop was the engineering section, where Tony Garcia was working on some machinery. Tony was a big man with grease on his hands and a friendly smile. When he saw them, he wiped his hands on a cloth. "Tony, our exchange student Kixtal," Jake said. "Hey there, buddy," Tony said. "Nice to have you aboard." Tony's communication device beeped and he answered it. "Yeah, I'll be home in 2 weeks," he said to whoever was calling. "Make sure to feed Rex while I'm gone. That pit bull needs his meat every day. He's got such strong jaws he could probably take down anything that moves, but don't worry, he's well-trained." Kixtal made a sound like breaking glass. His color had turned almost black now. Jake was starting to worry that something was wrong with their guest. "Are you feeling all right?" Jake asked. "I must send a message to my homeworld," Kixtal said quickly. "It is urgent." "Of course," Jake said. "Amy can help you use the communication system." Kixtal hurried back to the communications center. Jake followed, curious about what had made the alien so upset. Amy helped Kixtal connect to a special channel that could reach the Zephyrian homeworld across the vast distance of space. Jake couldn't understand the alien language, but Kixtal's voice sounded very worried. The conversation went on for several minutes with lots of the wind chime sounds and crystal-breaking noises. When Kixtal finished, he turned to Jake. "I have reported to my people about the situation here." "What situation?" Jake asked, confused. "The dangerous creatures you keep aboard this ship," Kixtal said. "The predators that hunt and kill. The ones with strong jaws that can take down anything. My people must know that humans live with such deadly beings." Jake stared at the alien, trying to understand what he meant. Then it hit him. The conversations with Amy, Lisa, and Tony. The talk about dogs and cats and hunting. "Kixtal," Jake said slowly. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." But the alien had already walked away, his crystal body now a worried shade of gray. Jake stood there wondering how he was going to explain to a creature from a peaceful world that humans kept predators as friends. The next morning, Dr. Jake Morrison found Kixtal in the ship's library. The alien was reading files on a computer screen, his crystal body glowing a worried purple color. Jake could see that Kixtal had been researching Earth animals all night. "Good morning, Kixtal," Jake said. "Did you sleep well?" The alien made a sound like cracking ice. "I do not understand how you humans can sleep knowing such dangerous beasts are nearby. These creatures you call dogs and cats are clearly apex predators." Jake sat down next to the alien. "I think we need to talk. There's something you don't understand about these animals." "I have read your files," Kixtal said, pointing at the screen. "Dogs descended from wolves. Cats are efficient hunters with sharp claws and teeth. Yet your crew speaks of them as if they are harmless." Jake looked at the screen and saw pictures of wild wolves and big cats hunting. He understood why Kixtal was scared. "Those are wild animals. The ones we keep as pets are very different." "Pets?" Kixtal asked. "What is this word?" "Animals that live with us as companions," Jake explained. "They're not dangerous to humans." Kixtal's color changed to deep blue, which Jake was learning meant confusion. "But why would you keep predators as companions?" Jake realized that words alone would never convince the alien. "I have an idea. Amy's ship rotation ends today. She's bringing her dog aboard for shore leave. Would you like to meet him?" Kixtal made the breaking glass sound again. "You want me to meet one of these beasts?" "Trust me," Jake said. "I think it will help you understand." 2 hours later, Jake gathered several crew members in the main common area. Amy Rodriguez had just returned from her time off, and she carried a large bag with her. Kixtal sat in the corner as far away as possible from the humans. "Is everyone ready?" Amy asked with a big smile. "Kixtal is a bit nervous," Jake said. "Maybe you should explain what you're doing." Amy nodded and opened her bag. "This is Max," she said, and out jumped a large golden-colored dog. Kixtal's crystal body turned almost black with fear. The dog was bigger than he had expected, with a long tail that moved back and forth. Max looked around at all the people and made happy panting sounds. "He's so excited to see everyone," Amy said, scratching behind Max's ears. Kixtal watched in horror as Amy put her hand near the creature's mouth. The dog had white teeth that looked very sharp, but instead of biting Amy, Max licked her hand with his pink tongue. "What is he doing?" Kixtal asked from his corner. "He's showing affection," Amy explained. "Dogs lick people they love." "Love?" Kixtal repeated. "You love this predator?" Amy laughed. "Max isn't a predator. Well, not to humans anyway. He's my best friend." She reached into her bag and pulled out a red rubber ball. "Watch this, Kixtal." Amy threw the ball across the room. Max ran after it, picked it up in his mouth, and brought it back to Amy. She threw it again, and Max repeated the same actions. "This is called playing fetch," Amy said. "Max loves this game." Kixtal stared in confusion. "Why does the creature bring the object back to you? Is this some form of training for battle?" "No," Jake said. "It's just fun. Max enjoys the game, and so does Amy." Sergeant Lisa Carter walked into the room carrying a small carrier box. "I brought Whiskers too," she said. She opened the box and out stepped a small black and white cat. Kickstall's color turned even darker when he saw the cat's green eyes and sharp claws. "This one is definitely a killer," Kickstall whispered. Whiskers walked over to Lisa and rubbed against her legs, making a rumbling sound. Lisa picked up the cat and held it in her arms. "She's purring," Lisa said. "That means she's happy." The cat closed its eyes and seemed to fall asleep in Lisa's arms. Kickstall could not believe what he was seeing. The human was holding a predator like it was a baby. "But your files say cats hunt small animals," Kickstall said. "Sometimes," Lisa agreed. "But Whiskers hasn't hunted anything in years. I feed her every day so she doesn't need to hunt." Tony Garcia came into the room and sat on the floor. Max immediately ran over to him and lay down with his head on Tony's lap. Tony petted the dog's fur while Max's tail wagged happily. "Rex does this too," Tony said. "Dogs like to be close to their humans." "But you said Rex could take down anything that moves," Kickstall said. Tony laughed. "That's just big talk. Rex is actually scared of the neighbor's kitten. He's a gentle giant." Kickstall watched as more crew members came to see the animals. Everyone seemed relaxed around the dog and cat. No one wore protective gear or carried weapons. The creatures did not attack anyone. "I still do not understand," Kickstall said. "These are clearly dangerous animals. Why do you trust them?" Amy sat down near Kickstall, though still far enough away to make him comfortable. Max followed and lay down at her feet. "They're not dangerous to us because we take care of them," Amy explained. "We give them food, water, shelter, and love. In return, they give us friendship and loyalty." "But what do you gain from this arrangement?" Kickstall asked. "What resources do they provide?" Amy thought for a moment. "They don't provide resources. They provide something better." "What could be better than resources?" Amy reached down and petted Max's head. The dog looked up at her with bright, happy eyes. "Companionship," Amy said. "Someone who is always happy to see you. Someone who loves you no matter what kind of day you've had. Someone who will stay by your side through good times and bad times." Kickstall's color slowly shifted from black to deep purple. He was trying to understand, but the concept was unlike anything in his world. "On your planet, do you have friends?" Jake asked. "We have partnerships based on mutual benefit," Kickstall replied. "This is different," Jake said. "This is friendship based on love, not benefit." As if to prove the point, Whiskers jumped down from Lisa's arms and walked slowly toward Kickstall. The alien froze in fear, but the cat simply lay down a few feet away and began cleaning her paw with her tongue. "She likes you," Lisa said. "Cats are good judges of character." Kickstall stared at the small predator that had chosen to rest near him. For the first time since arriving on the ship, his crystal body began to glow a lighter shade of blue. Later that day, Pete Johnson found Kickstall sitting alone in the observation deck. The alien was staring out at the stars, his crystal body a dull gray color. Pete was the ship's chief engineer, a thoughtful man who liked to think about big questions. "Mind if I sit with you?" Pete asked. Kickstall made a soft, chiming sound. "I am trying to understand what I saw today. The interaction between your people and those creatures makes no sense to me." Pete sat down in the chair next to the alien. "What part confuses you the most?" "Everything," Kickstall said. "On my world, we only form relationships that help us survive. We work with plant creatures that clean our air. We partner with crystal worms that eat waste. Every relationship has a clear purpose. And you don't see a purpose in our relationship with dogs and cats?" Kickstall's body flickered between gray and purple. "Amy said the creatures provide companionship. But what is the survival value of companionship?" Pete was quiet for a moment, thinking about how to explain something so basic to human life. "Tell me about your family, Kickstall. Do you have parents, brothers, or sisters?" "We reproduce by crystal budding," Kickstall explained. "When we are ready, we create a smaller version of ourselves. The new being is given knowledge and resources, then sent to find their own territory." "Do you miss them after they leave?" "Miss them? Kixtal asked. Why would I miss them? They have what they need to survive. Pete realized that Kixtal had never experienced emotional attachment the way humans understood it. Humans are different. We form emotional bonds with others. We care about their happiness, not just their survival. But why? Kixtal asked. What advantage does this give you? Maybe I can explain with a story, Pete said. When I was a child, my family had a dog named Rex. He was a big, friendly dog, with brown fur and kind eyes. Kixtal turned to face Pete, his color shifting to curious blue. One night, when I was about 10 years old, I got very sick. Pete continued. I had a high fever and could barely move. My parents were worried, but they had to work. Rex stayed with me all day and all night. He lay on my bed and kept me warm. When I cried from the pain, he licked my face to comfort me. The creature helped you heal? Kixtal asked. Not exactly, Pete said. Rex couldn't cure my sickness, but he made me feel less scared and alone. When you're sick and afraid, having someone who cares about you makes a big difference. Kixtal was quiet for a long moment. So the animal provided emotional support during your weakness? Yes, but more than that, Pete said. Rex cared about me. Not because he had to, not because he got something from it. He cared because we had formed a bond of love. I still do not understand this word love, Kixtal admitted. Just then, Amy Rodriguez walked into the observation deck with Max. The dog immediately went to Pete and put his head on the man's knee. See how Max comes to me? Pete said, scratching behind the dog's ears. He's not hungry, he's not afraid. He just wants to be near me because he enjoys my company. Max's tail wagged as Pete petted him. The dog looked up at Pete with bright, happy eyes. Amy, can you tell Kixtal why you love Max? Pete asked. Amy sat down with them. Max has been with me for 5 years. When I come home from long missions, he's always excited to see me. When I'm sad, he seems to know and he stays close to comfort me. When I'm happy, he's happy too. But what does he gain from this? Kixtal asked. The same thing I do, Amy said. He gets love, attention, and care. He gets to be part of a family. Carol Brennan, the security chief, walked by and stopped when she saw them. Are you explaining about pets to our guest? She asked. We're trying to, Pete said. Carol sat down with them. I had a dog when I was growing up. His name was Rex, like Pete's dog. He was a German shepherd, very smart and loyal. Another predator, Kixtal said quietly. Rex was protective, Carol agreed. But not in the way you think. He never hurt anyone who didn't threaten our family. He could tell the difference between friends and enemies. How could an animal make such complex decisions? Kixtal asked. Dogs are very good at reading emotions, Carol explained. They can tell if someone is happy, sad, angry, or afraid. Rex knew that children were not threats, even if they were strangers. He knew that the mailman was safe even though he came to our house every day. This seems impossible, Kixtal said. How can a simple creature understand such things? Dogs aren't simple, Amy said. They're very intelligent. Max knows over 50 different words. He can tell time and knows when I usually come home from CO work. He remembers people he's met before and treats them as friends. Pilot Danny Wright joined their group, carrying a small cage. Inside was a colorful bird with bright green and red feathers. This is Coco, Danny said, opening the cage. The bird flew out and landed on Danny's shoulder. Kixtal's color changed to alarmed purple again. Another creature? Coco is a parrot, Danny explained. Watch this. He looked at the bird and said, Hello, Coco. The bird tilted its head and said back, Hello, Danny. Kixtal made the breaking glass sound. It speaks your language. Coco has learned about 30 words, Danny said. She doesn't really understand what they mean, but she knows which words make me happy. Good bird, Coco said, and Danny smiled. See, Danny said. She knows that saying good bird makes me praise her. Pete watched Kixtal process all this information. The alien's color kept shifting between different shades as he tried to understand. So these creatures learn to communicate with you, provide emotional support, and form lasting bonds, Kixtal said slowly. But they are still predators. That's what makes it special, Carol said. They choose to be gentle with us. Rex could have easily hurt someone with his teeth and strength, but he chose not to. That choice to be gentle, that's what love is. Choice, Kixtal repeated. They choose to care for you. And we choose to care for them, Amy added. It's not forced. It's not programmed. It's a decision we both make every day. Max yawned and lay down at Amy's feet. Coco preened her feathers on Danny's shoulder. Both animals looked completely relaxed and content. They look happy, Kixtal observed. They are happy, Pete said. And so are we. That's the point. We make each other happy. For the first time, since arriving on the ship, Kixtal's crystal body began to glow with a warm, soft light. He was beginning to understand something new about the strange species called humans. The next morning, Dr. Jake Morrison called a meeting in the main conference room. He had been thinking about Kixtal's confusion, and he realized the alien needed to understand something much bigger than just pets. The alien needed to understand Earth itself. Kixtal entered the room with his crystal body glowing a cautious yellow. Several crew members were already there, including Amy with Max sleeping at her feet, and Danny with Coco perched on his shoulder. Kixtal, we want to show you something important, Jake said. Kate, can you bring up the Earth files? Navigator Kate Phillips nodded and activated the large screen at the front of the room. The screen showed a blue and green planet spinning, slowly in space. This is Earth, Jake said. Our home world. It is beautiful, Kixtal said, his color shifting to admiring blue. It is beautiful, Kate agreed. But it's also one of the most dangerous planets in the known galaxy. Kixtal's color changed to confused purple. Dangerous? But it looks so peaceful. Jake looked at the other crew members. Show him the predator files, Kate. The screen changed to show a massive creature with huge teeth and powerful legs. It was chasing a smaller animal across a grassland. This is a lion, Jake explained. One of Earth's big cats. It can kill animals much larger than itself. Kixtal made the breaking glass sound. This creature lives on your world? Lions, tigers, bears, wolves, sharks, Kate said, changing the images on the screen. Earth is full of predators that could easily kill a human. The screen showed a large brown bear standing on its back legs. It was taller than any human and had claws as long as fingers. This bear could tear apart a human in seconds, Jake said. But look at this. The image changed to show a human researcher sitting peacefully next to a different bear. The bear was eating fish while the human took notes. How is this possible? Kixtal asked, his color now deep purple with fear. Lieutenant. Commander Ryan Torres leaned forward. That's what makes humans special, Kixtal. We learn to live alongside these dangerous creatures. But how did you survive? Kixtal asked. My people studied your files. Humans have no natural armor, no claws, no venom. You should have been eaten by these predators. We almost were, Ryan said. But we developed something better than claws or armor. We developed intelligence and the ability to understand other creatures. Kate changed the screen to show early humans living in caves. The images showed them using fire and simple tools. Our ancestors lived in constant danger, Jake explained. Every day they faced creatures that could kill them. But instead of just fighting these creatures, humans learned to study them. Study them? Kixtal asked. We learned to read their behavior, Amy said. We could tell when an animal was angry, scared, or calm. We learned which animals were truly dangerous and which ones might become allies. The screen showed images of early humans working with dogs to hunt together. The first dogs were wolves, Ryan explained. Dangerous pack hunters. But some humans realized that wolves and humans hunted in similar ways. Instead of fighting each other, they decided to work together. This is how pets began? Kixtal asked. Exactly, Jake said. Over thousands of years, humans and wolves learned to trust each other. The wolves became dogs, and both species benefited. Kate showed more images of humans working with different animals. Humans riding horses using oxen to pull heavy loads, and cats catching mice in human settlements. Earth taught us that survival wasn't just about being the strongest, Kate said. It was about forming alliances with other species. But your world sounds terrifying, Kixtal said. How did this make you better at forming relationships? Because we had to learn empathy to survive, Ryan explained. We had to understand what other creatures were thinking and feeling. If we couldn't read an animal's mood, we might end up dead. Jake stood up and walked to the screen. Kixtal, most species in the galaxy evolved on worlds like yours. Peaceful places where different creatures lived in harmony without much competition. Yes, Kixtal said. My world has always been peaceful. We never needed to fear other life forms. That's why you find our relationship with pets so strange, Jake continued. On your world, you never needed to learn how to communicate with dangerous creatures. But humans had to learn this skill to survive. Amy reached down and petted Max. The dog woke up and looked at her with loving eyes. Every human child learns to read animal emotions, Amy said. We can tell if a dog is happy or angry just by looking at its face and body. This skill saved our ancestors' lives many times. The same skill that helped us survive on Earth, Danny added as Coco nuzzled his ear, is what lets us form emotional bonds with animals today. Kate changed the screen to show modern Earth, cities full of humans but also parks where wild animals live safely near people. Today, Earth is much safer, Kate said, but we still remember the lessons our planet taught us. We know how to respect dangerous creatures and how to form friendships with gentle ones. Your planet made you into something unique, Ryan said. Most species in the galaxy interact with other life forms through logic and rules. Humans interact through emotion and understanding. Kixtal was quiet for a long time, staring at the images of Earth. His crystal body slowly shifted from purple to deep blue. So when Amy throws the ball for Max, Kixtal said slowly, she is using skills that her ancestors needed to survive on your dangerous world. That's right, Jake said. The same instincts that helped early humans work with wolves help Amy understand what Max wants and needs. And when Carol's dog protected her family, Kixtal continued, the dog was using instincts from when his ancestors worked with humans to survive. Exactly, Carol said, entering the room just in time to hear her name. Rex wasn't just protecting territory. He was protecting his pack, and to him my family was his pack. Kixtal stood up and walked closer to the screen, which now showed children playing with puppies in a park. Your dangerous world created creatures who could form bonds across species, Kixtal said with wonder. This is not weakness. This is a form of strength that my people have never developed. Now you're beginning to understand, Jake said with a smile. Max got up and walked over to Kixtal. The dog sat down near the alien and wagged his tail gently. For the first time, Kixtal didn't move away. He wants to be your friend, Amy said softly. Kixtal looked down at Max, then back at the images of Earth on the screen. His crystal body began to glow with a warm, golden light. Perhaps, Kixtal said quietly, it is time I learned this human skill of cross-species friendship. 3 days later, Kixtal sat alone in the quiet observation deck. Max lay on the floor nearby, no longer seeming like a dangerous predator to the alien. The dog had been following Kixtal around the ship, and the crystal being had stopped trying to avoid him. Amy Rodriguez walked in and smiled when she saw them together. Max really likes you, she said, sitting down across from Kixtal. I am beginning to understand why, Kixtal replied. His crystal body glowed a soft blue color. He does not want anything from me. He simply enjoys being near me. That's exactly right, Amy said. Dogs are very good at sensing when someone has a kind heart. Kixtal watched as Max stretched and yawned. The dog looked completely relaxed and content. Amy, may I try something? Kixtal asked. Of course. Kixtal slowly reached out with his crystalline hand toward Max. The dog looked up and gently sniffed the alien's fingers. Then Max did something that surprised everyone. He licked Kixtal's crystal hand. Kixtal made a sound like wind chimes, but this time it seemed happy rather than worried. He is showing affection, Kixtal said with wonder, just as you explained before. How does it feel? Amy asked. Kickstall was quiet for a moment. Strange, warm, pleasant. I have never experienced anything like this before. Dr. Jake Morrison entered the observation deck and found them sitting together peacefully. Kickstall, I have something to ask you, Jake said. Are you ready to send a new message to your home world? Yes, Kickstall said. I believe I understand now what I saw when I first arrived. They went to the communications center where Amy helped Kickstall connect to the long-range transmitter. This time, when Kickstall spoke to his people, his voice sounded calm and excited rather than worried. The conversation lasted much longer than his first message. Jake could hear the wind chime sounds of Kickstall's language, but now they seemed musical, rather than alarmed. When Kickstall finished, he turned to Jake and Amy. I have told my people about the true nature of human pets, Kickstall said. They are very interested to learn more. What did you tell them? Jake asked. I explained that humans possess a rare gift, Kickstall said. You can form emotional bonds with other species. This is not a weakness or a dangerous practice. It is a form of advanced social development that most species in the galaxy have never achieved. Amy smiled. That's a much better report than your first one. I also told them about Earth, Kickstall continued. How your dangerous world forced you to develop empathy and understanding. My people are amazed that such a hostile environment could create beings capable of such gentle relationships. Over the next few weeks, Kickstall spent more time with the crew and their pets. He learned to pet Max properly, and the dog would wag his tail whenever he saw the crystal alien. Whiskers the cat had started sitting near Kickstall during meals, and Coco the parrot had learned to say hello Kickstall in a voice that made everyone laugh. One evening, Kickstall was in his quarters when he heard a soft scratching at his door. When he opened it, Max was sitting in the hallway with a toy in his mouth. Amy is working late, Pete Johnson said, walking by. Max probably wants someone to play with him. Kickstall looked down at the hopeful dog. Play? Try throwing his toy, Pete suggested. He'll bring it back to you. Kickstall took the toy and threw it down the hallway. Max ran after it, picked it up, and brought it back. The dog dropped the toy at Kickstall's feet and wagged his tail. Again? Kickstall asked. Max barked once, which Kickstall had learned meant yes. For the next hour, Kickstall and Max played fetch in the hallway. The alien began to understand the simple joy that Amy had described. There was no purpose to the game except happiness. When Amy found them, she saw Kickstall sitting on the floor with Max's head resting on his crystal lap. I think you found a friend, Amy said. I believe I have, Kickstall replied. This feeling of friendship is quite remarkable. No wonder humans value it so highly. On the last day of Kickstall's visit, the crew gathered in the common area for a farewell celebration. Max, Whiskers, and Coco were all there, along with most of the human crew. Before I leave, Kickstall announced, I want to make a formal statement. Everyone grew quiet as Kickstall stood up. His crystal body glowed with bright, warm light. When I first arrived on this ship, I thought humans were reckless and dangerous, Kickstall said. I believed you kept predators as weapons or trophies. I was completely wrong. The crew listened as Kickstall continued. I have learned that humans possess something very special. You have the ability to see beyond the surface of other creatures. You can find friendship and love in places where other species see only danger. Max walked over to Kickstall and sat down beside him. Kickstall reached down and petted the dog's head. Your pets are not weapons or tools, Kickstall said. They are family, members. They are friends who chose to trust you and whom you chose to trust in return. Amy wiped a tear from her eye as she watched her dog bonding with the alien. I am returning to my world with a new mission, Kickstall announced. I will teach my people about this human gift. Perhaps we too can learn to form bonds of pure friendship. You're always welcome back here, Jake said. Max will miss you. As if he understood, Max walked over to Kickstall and licked his crystal hand one more time. I will miss him too, Kickstall said. And all of you. You have shown me that the universe is much more wonderful than I knew. 2 days later, as Kickstall's transport ship prepared to leave, he sent one final message to his home world. In it, he described the humans as teachers who could help the galaxy understand a new form of relationship based on love rather than logic. He also requested that his people consider inviting more humans to their world. If creatures from a dangerous planet could learn to love gentle animals, perhaps beings from a peaceful world could learn to love in return. As his ship moved away from the Aurora Dawn, Kixtal looked back at the human vessel through his window. He could almost imagine Max sitting in the observation deck, waiting for his alien friend to return. For the first time in his life, Kixtal understood what humans meant when they talked about missing someone. And he realized that this feeling, though sad, was also beautiful. The galaxy, he thought, was about to learn something very important about the species called humans.